So yesterday I finished Little Nightmares Altered Echoes. This is the latest Little Nightmares game, and this one is completely in VR. Now, to be entirely honest, this one was quite the trip. Get out of my kitchen! Get out of my kitchen! I tell you when the food is ready! I tell you when the food is ready! Oh. Damn it. Certain objects are easier to handle with two... Hey, yo! That's what she said! Oh, shit. Listen, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. What the hell? Why have you got no faces? Get a face, fucking losers. I'm sure Bandai Namco will buy me a new microphone too, right? Oh, unlucky kid. You were perceived. Okay. Ah, no, I'm being perceived. No, damn it, I got cocky. Oh, I'm gonna mute that for you guys, because holy crap. They just look like boobs. I'm doing eyes. Okay, they're eyes. They're not boobs. Yeah, I kinda wanna touch one for science, you know? Like. Oh. Well. I was too busy looking at my surroundings. That I missed my surroundings. They don't mind. They quite like it. They don't mind it. But if I poke him in the belly. Oh, I dropped. Oh. Oh, well, listen. Oh, now they've got creepy faces. Remember earlier when I was like, get a face? I take it back. I preferred you without a face. Honestly. 0 out of 10 game. Has no burning physics. Cannot commit arson in this game. I want a refund. I have an idea. I have an idea. You'll never guess what it is. Oh! Oh! Hello! Hi! Ow. It's very difficult. Everything's delayed. Oh, it must be a British train station. Every single train's delayed and cancelled, and your whole day's ruined. And do you get like a refund? No. Does anyone give a shit? No. Pick up the phone. Hello? I need tech support. Everything's dark and nothing's working. All wearing exactly the same outfits. Go to the clothes shop. Buy something better. He's gonna flash you. He's the flasher. Burn him. Dead by Daylight? Dead by Daylight Little Nightmares crossover confirmed. Wait, is he wearing socks and sandals? Disgusting. You know, this game's gonna get me fit. I don't like it. Fuck you. Oh, shit. Come back here. Oh, I don't know what I knocked off, but it's fine. Thank you for traveling with shitty British Rail. Okay. Now, last week, Bandai Namco UK reached out and asked if they could send me something. To be entirely honest, I thought they were just going to send me some promotional material for one of their upcoming games, but I love free shit. So I was like, yeah, go on, send me whatever you've got. I wasn't expecting a whole VR headset though. Now that was super kind of Bandai Namco, especially considering I have been critical of some of their previous games. So massive thank you for that. That was really, really kind of them. And it actually allowed me to play this game so that I could make content for you guys. And after playing the game, it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. Now, yes, I might be a little bit biased because this was a very, very nice gesture from Bandai Namco, but I genuinely did enjoy this game. There were a couple of things about it that I can criticize, and I will talk about that. I'm going to talk about all the things that I liked and disliked about Little Nightmares Altered Echoes. Okay, where did it go? Where did the crank go, bro? Where did it go? But just generally, if you want my very quick review, it was pretty damn good. So let's get into the things that I liked about it. Now, most of the things I liked about this game were down to it being in VR. And I have to be entirely honest, this was the very first VR game I have ever played. I've never even put a VR headset on before putting on this one to play the Little Nightmares game. And a lot of what I really liked about this game was because the game took advantage of that really well. Now, this game you are playing as Shadow 6, or are you? Because we'll get into that in the spoilers later. But in this game, you are playing as the 6 that is left behind after the Thin Man took 6 to the Signal Tower during the events of Little Nightmares 2. This entire game takes place in that time where Mono and Six are separated and Six is in the signal tower while Mono is making his way there. Now, this was a cool idea because this was a very mysterious amount of time. In Little Nightmares 2, when Six is taken to the signal tower, she's still a young girl, but by the time we get there, she's grown up into this giant monster Six. So there's obviously something going on in between that time period where we're away from her, but we don't know what. We don't know how long it's been for Six. We don't know why she turned into a monster. And this game really sort of delves into that period of time, and it's interesting. Now, this game takes place across a bunch of different levels. Some of them are levels we've been to before, like the school. In Little Nightmares 2, we actually kind of see what happens to the school after we leave in Little Nightmares 2, which was kind of interesting. And then there are also some areas that are completely brand new, like the train station and the train, for example. But you're going through these areas and you're going to be using the VR to solve a bunch of puzzles, do a bunch of climbing, push things into places. You know, the usual Little Nightmares style puzzles, but this time you're actually doing them with your hands and you actually get to look around the environment. And now this is one of the big key things I think makes this game really, really good, and that is just the scale of it. Now, one thing that Little Nightmares has always done well is make the scale of the game bigger than you. So you as the playable character always feel super small in comparison to the environments around you and the enemies around you. And that was done intentionally to make it more scary, to make the environment and the world and the monsters feel more dangerous because they were big compared to you. And this game really takes advantage of that in many, many ways. Now, when you're in the environment, seeing these creatures face to face up close, it's a completely different experience. Now, one really good way to highlight this was the guests from Little Nightmares 1. They reappear here in the train. This is all in the trailer, it's not spoilers, but they reappear on the train in this environment, and you actually get to see just how big they really are compared to you. I will say, just like Little Nightmares 3, a lot of the sort of minion NPC kind of enemies, not the main bosses, but like the side enemies in this game are all kind of passive. They don't chase you, they don't attack you. This was a criticism I had of Little Nightmares 3 as well. But in this game, it makes a little bit more sense because it's in VR and you are doing puzzles and the main enemies are always kind of around. So, you know, it was fine. But actually being able to see these things in front of you and actually get up close to some of the environmental things, some of the posters or the drawings, for an example, actually getting to really get up close, sometimes even pick them up and turn them over, was really, really cool. It really felt like I was actually in the world of Little Nightmares. And again, a lot of this has to do more with the VR technology than the game itself, but I have to say, the two really married well together here, being able to explore the environments inside the world, which if you've never done VR, listen, I'd never done VR before this. It's a completely different experience, okay? It's not like playing a game just staring at a screen. It's like actually being inside the game and being able to see like just like a gnome, right? Being able to see a gnome and chase the gnome around in VR was really, really cool. Now, there was a lot of mechanics in the game that were really fun. For example, you could pick things up and throw them. It was a little tricky sometimes, especially considering I don't have a lot of room in here, but you could pick things up, throw them. There was one part of the game where you were striking matches to be able to see. That was also really cool. And there were a lot of just cool moments where you can use things in the environment. A lot of it was kind of just like playtime. I don't know how else to explain it, but there was a lot of things that, like, you could pick up a crayon and you could draw on the walls with the crayon. Didn't do anything, you didn't need to, it didn't unlock an achievement, or there was no puzzle involved in it. It's just there for fun, right? And I don't know, I found it kind of fun. I thought that was kind of cool. Now, another thing I want to talk about that I did like about this game is the story. Now, I will talk about spoilers later, but without spoilers, the story completely fits into the world of Little Nightmares. As I said earlier, this is the time between Six being taken by the Thin Man and Mono releasing Six at the end of Little Nightmares 2. This is that period of time from Six's perspective, kind of, which we've never seen before. We've never seen what happened inside the signal tower, and this gives us a lot more context. And in fact, if you're somebody who likes to make theories about Little Nightmares, I know a lot of Little Nightmares fans do, this game gives you a lot more to work with. This game absolutely follows the same formula. It doesn't tell you anything, it just shows you everything, and it lets you come up with your own interpretation, as it should, but you now have a lot more context to make your theories over. It does have a big sort of twist at the end, which is very interesting, and I want to talk about it later. But just generally, the tone, the atmosphere, and the general storyline was more in line with Little Nightmares 1 and 2, and less in line with Little Nightmares 3. And again, one of my big criticisms of Little Nightmares 3 was how I didn't really like how it felt so disjointed, so separate from everything else in the world and in the story, whereas this one just slotted right in. So yes, I understand the games were doing different things, but I liked this more. I'm just being honest, I liked this more. I like 6's story more than I liked Low and Alone. I had to think then. I like 6's story way more than anything else. So call me biased, but I liked that. Now, in terms of the enemies were pretty good. They weren't the best. I don't want to say any of them were bad necessarily. Obviously, one of them was the teacher who we've already seen before, and she behaved like the teacher did. But we got this new one. We got this conductor character, and he was also pretty cool. But they were just more of the same. They didn't really feel much different. But most importantly, they did fit in. They felt like they were in the same world as the chefs and the teacher and the lady. So I'm kind of okay with it. I'm kind of okay with it being a little bit more of the same because they felt like they fit in the world. There was a couple of things that felt tonally just a little bit different. Like there was just a random example. There was this poster which looked more like a creepypasta than it did Little Nightmares, but whatever, it was still cool. I liked it. And something else that this game did, which I want in these types of games, is it did have some things for you to be able to go and find. Now, most of them in this one were sort of callbacks to the previous games, particularly Little Nightmares 2. We didn't, unfortunately, get to go to them more in this game, which would have been really cool, but, you know, whatever. But there were a lot of callbacks and Easter eggs and things like that you could go around and find. And there wasn't as many as there could have been. Like there could have been some more secret rooms or something. I don't know, maybe there are secret rooms, maybe I just missed them. But there were things that you could go around and find, and a lot of them were cool little callbacks to the previous games, which I thought that was really cool too. Now, this was something that I criticized in Little Nightmares 3. I said there wasn't as much to go around and find, because one of the best things about Little Nightmares is going around and finding little secrets, finding hidden little rooms and stuff that don't need to be there, but they add something. I made this whole joke about in Little Nightmares 3 in the factory, in the candy factory, there was nothing creepy there really. It would have been really cool if they'd added something like, for example, a rat on a stick. What's that? Is that a rat on a stick hoodie? Yes, it is, and you can get your own right now. That was a terrible plug. I am the worst at this, honestly. Listen, I launched a merch store. It's finally there. I said ages ago I was going to do this. It's finally there. I will leave a link down in the description below if you want to go and check it out. I got some Rat on a Stick merch, a couple of other pieces of merch too, and I'll add some more later. But if you want to go and check it out, since I have just launched the store, I'm giving you a promotion. If you use the code ROASTME, you can get 10% off your entire order. There you go. What a plug. So let's get on to a couple of things that I disliked about the game, and there wasn't too many. A lot of it comes down to the VR. Now, I have to be honest, this is kind of a personal problem. I do not have a lot of room. I am in a very, very cramped room. If you didn't know, this is my bedroom. I don't have a lot of space. I am very limited, and this is how far back I can go. That's it. That's the amount of space that I have, okay? And that made playing this game a little bit tricky. Now, I did end up using the sitting down mode, and it did take a little while to get everything set up. And for the most part, it worked okay, but I definitely did knock some things off my desk. Now, there's stuff everywhere, bro. My microphone isn't, it's not even pointed at me anymore. I don't even know where I am anymore. Where even am I? I'm so sorry. I've been like off camera this whole time. Luckily, I didn't break anything, but trying to record like this was an absolute nightmare. I was banging my mic. I was knocking things over. At one point, I was halfway across the room, which again wasn't. Again, I can't go that far, but I was halfway across the room. My camera was out of focus. It was a bit of a stressful time to record VR in such a limited space. And I think that is partly one of the reasons why VR hasn't taken off as much as it could. Now, I'm not going to go off in a big tangent about why VR isn't as popular as it could be, but this is one of the risks. If you make a VR game, you are making a game that is only going to appeal to a tiny, tiny niche percentage of the overall gamer base, because a lot of people can't afford VR. This is very expensive. Again, thank you, Bandai, to sending it to me, but this is very expensive. Not everyone can afford something like that, as well as a PC to run it, you know? And you also need a lot of space. And while it worked, it did definitely work in sit-down mode, and I managed to get through it, it was definitely not perfect. So during the game, you're doing a lot of climbing, and things like climbing was very difficult when you're sat down because the game expects you to stand up and reach for things. And there was a lot of times when it expects you to reach down to the floor, and when you're sat down, like I really had to reach, like I was really reaching down on the floor to grab stuff. And also sometimes there were chase scenes where you've got to climb up things in chase scenes. And it was really, really hard to reach up because the VR doesn't really understand how tall, you know, the setup is. And so it was a little bit janky. And at times there were a couple of parts that seemed to be kind of broken because the game wasn't understanding that I was trying to climb. And so that was a little bit frustrating. Talking about frustrating, there was also this one part towards the end of the game where I don't know why they did this, but they had this area where there were bear traps everywhere on the floor, but it was dark, so you couldn't see them. So the way that you got around that was by using matchsticks to light your way so you could see. That's okay. So you had to hold the matchbox in one hand and the match in the other. Okay? Are you with me so far? Matchbox, match, strike it, light it. Cool. The problem was, in that same part, it wanted you to carry a crank from one end of the room to the other, but your hands were full. And if you dropped the matchbox, your match would run out super fast. So then you'd have to pick it up. But if you dropped the match, it would instantly go out. So it was like, okay, am I supposed to have 3 hands? Like, what am I supposed to do here? I don't know. Maybe I just didn't figure it out properly, but that was really stressful. It was really annoying. And I ended up getting kind of mad at that part. But aside from that, most of my criticisms come from the fact that it is a VR only game and you can't play this if you don't have a VR headset. And are you going to buy a VR headset to play this game? I don't know that you're going to. And if you do, are you going to be happy with that purchase? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Now, I will say this again was my very first VR game. I have nothing to compare this to. I don't know if this was a great VR game. I don't know if this was a terrible VR game. I will say it was weird that you could only snap move. So if you turn your character, like you turn your camera, it only snaps. And I Googled this. I was like, is this normal? I don't know. Apparently it's to stop motion sickness, but there's no option to turn it off. Well, there's an option to turn it off, but then you just can't turn. So I don't know what that's about. But it was a little bit weird. And a quick Google told me that some people don't like that. So there you go. But overall, it was a fun game. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I would definitely play a second one if they make it. I really don't want to beat this dead horse, but this is more of the kind of game that I want. I want to see this kind of story. Yes, I'm biased because I really like 6's story. Yes, I am biased because I'm more interested in 6 than Low and Alone, but yeah, I liked it a lot. Now, let's talk about the spoilers because this game had a very big twist at the end. So as I said, throughout this game, you are playing as what I thought was Shadow 6. This is the 6 that is left behind after the Thin Man takes 6 to the Signal Tower, and you are chasing the real 6 throughout her time at the Signal Tower. Throughout this whole time, you're always behind, you're always trying to catch up. You start collecting musical notes and you start using the music box to change your environment. And the music box seems to completely warp and disrupt the environment around you for some reason. But once you get to the end of the game, you are just about to catch up with 6, but then you get trapped. And not only do you get trapped, 6 seems to leave you behind, which is a common 6 theme now, isn't it? But you end up trapped in the Signal Tower, and as you sink deeper and deeper down, you then see this big pile of music boxes. Now, this makes complete sense. We know that the Signal Tower, the Pale City, is all trapped in this time loop, and this is why Mono grows up to become the Thin Man. He then gets released from the Signal Tower, he chases Mono, Mono gets trapped in the Signal Tower, he grows up to be the Thin Man, and around we go. So this not only basically proves that time loop theory, it also brings the possibility that there are multiple Shadow 6s around, which is also very interesting. But that's not the big twist. The big twist is that once this music box falls down, it opens up and Shadow 6 comes out. She leaves the television, and that's the Shadow 6 that we see throughout Little Nightmares 1. So this Shadow 6 is not the same as this Shadow 6, which actually does make sense because we talked about this many years ago when Little Nightmares 2 came out, that this Shadow 6 had like a TV glitchy, staticky effect, whereas this one seems to be made of pure shadow. So there are now two Shadow 6s. There's Shadow 6 and TV Shadow 6, and these are completely different characters, and TV Shadow 6 is now trapped in the Signal Tower, while Evil Shadow 6, who was born in the Signal Tower, is now free, guiding 6 to do evil deeds. There's so much you could theorize about this. There's so much that you could talk about in terms of theories. Maybe I will make a video about it, but I don't know. I thought this was all super interesting. It was really cool. For most of the game, I had no idea what the hell the point was. I had no idea what we were trying to do or what the objective was, but it became clear over time. And then at the end, knowing that big twist has just sort of reignited my excitement for the franchise, because this is what I care about. This is the story that I actually am invested in. And these are the characters that I want to know more about. And yes, I would still like to know what happened to 6 after the events of Little Nightmares 1, please. But this was also really cool. So yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. I want, again, massive thank you to Bandai Namco UK for being really cool. Even though I've criticized you all in the past, really cool that you sent this for me. And I will be using this for other things. I meant other horror games. Get your mind out of the gutter, you filthy. Unless... No, horror games. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.